Okay, Deborah, well, a warm welcome. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you. Like Deb said, I'm based in Windermere, South Cumbria, and I do past life regression on a one-to-one basis. But during lockdown, I've been doing workshops online through Zoom. I do past life regression workshops and also dowsing for your past life workshops. I've also started doing some talks like this one, usually Facebook Live, but also some Zooms, to kind of get the message out there about what past life regression is, how it works, why people want to do it. And I've done a series of talks about it. So this one, I suddenly thought a lot of people either not sure about karma, not sure what it is, not sure how it works. And I just thought, well, let's have a little chat about it. There seems to be quite a lot of different ideas around there. So basically, karma, well, if we acknowledge the concept that we have numerous past lives, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, and the idea of that is that it is a journey of your soul. So we are spiritual beings having a physical experience on this reality, on this earth. So karma are basically the challenges or issues that you experience in a lifetime. And what is important to remember about karma is that it's not a form of punishment or reward. A lot of people have got quite a bit of a fear about karma, if you like. They sort of think, okay, if I must be suffering in this lifetime because I've been bad in a past life. And it is absolutely not about that at all. So the other important thing to remember is that before you incarnate, when you're in the spirit world or when you're in the between life state, you agree to have certain experiences in your next incarnation, and that is very much depends on what you need to learn and what experiences you have yet to have on the physical realm. So who decides this? Well, you do, and your spirit guide will also be involved in this process, because your spirit guide has an overview of all of your lifetimes. We don't remember a lot of our past lives in each lifetime, in each incarnation, because obviously, we just go, it'll be too much to remember. We just get confused. But the core lessons that we learn in each lifetime are remembered on a very subconscious and often a cellular level. So we're bringing those forward. So karma is very much about if you have a situation that you want to experience and you are put in a situation with other members of your soul group to incarnate and have that experience, if for any reason you don't resolve it or it doesn't work out, you then have to deal with it again in your next life, but it will be presented to you in a different way. So a good example for that would be, say if you had a lifetime where you had really difficult relationships with your siblings and you never managed to resolve it within that lifetime, what would happen would be the next lifetime you say, okay, you know what, I want to sort that issue out, but we need to do it in a different way, in a different dynamic. So you may well incarnate with your sibling in that lifetime, but in the next lifetime you may be father and son, mother and daughter, and you will end up having to look at that dynamic in a different way. So it's all about learning. So a lot of people, and I have to say, religion doesn't help with this. It does create concepts of fear and guilt around karmic issues. So nothing that you're experiencing in your current life is because you've been bad in your past life. It just doesn't work like that. So hopefully that will lift a lot of concern out of people's minds there. So remembering that basically every experience you have has been pre-agreed in order to help you learn. Might not feel like that at the time, might feel like a punishment, but it's almost like when you're living the lifetime, you can't see the wood for the trees. So quite often it's good to actually step back out of the situation and look at it from a larger perspective and try and see what the learning is. What's the lesson there? What are you there to experience? What are you there to learn from that situation? And just by taking that step back, you can actually engage with a karmic lesson in that lifetime or that situation. And that in itself helps you propel and move forward, because once you've got that understanding and that learning, it's like a big tick. Done. Okay, let it go. The other thing to remember about that as well is if you have a situation and if it's a long term, if it's sort of conflict with friends, family, or lovers, quite often is an accumulative issue that you've gone through for several lifetimes. And quite often you just know that it's very, very deep rooted. There's also a fear thing that if you don't sort it out in this lifetime, then it's going to be bad. You're going to have to get punished and do it again next time. It's very much worth remembering that even though you've chosen that situation to try and resolve it in this lifetime again, you can just say, if it gets too much, any situation, you just sort of say to your guide, your spirit, to the universe, whatever, okay, you know what, enough. I've done everything I can do to try and resolve this situation. I don't feel I can do any more. And to be quite honest, I don't want to do it anymore. So it's almost like you're saying, pass. Okay, I know I came here to learn this or deal with this, but you know what, it's too much. I can't cope with it anymore. Just take it away from me. I'll deal with it another time. And a lot of people don't realize that they actually have that choice, that they can just say, you know what, enough. I'm done with this. I'm handing it over to you, handing it over to your spirit guide, handing it over to the universe, whatever your system is, and just say, you help me resolve this and I'll deal with it later. And that's absolutely fine. You're not going to get any kind of form of punishment. It's about having tried to do what you can to do. Life is supposed to be a journey. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be about learning everything you can learn. It's about experiencing everything that's good in the world. It's not about slavery, punishment, slogging your way through hardships. I think a lot of us are brought up to believe that, life is hard, and you have to kind of battle through. It doesn't have to be. It's not really what it's about. So perspective is a wonderful thing. So with karma, creating karma in this lifetime, everything you do, every action you take that affects other people has the potential to create a karmic issue in this lifetime, but also potentially in your future lifetime. So I can't remember notes here. So particularly when you're dealing with, again, family relationships, romantic relationships and friendships. So don't panic. If you have an argument with somebody, it doesn't mean that, or if you fall out with somebody big time, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a massive issue next time. So just bear in mind what we've already discussed. But every person that you have a connection with, the deeper the relationship, the deeper connection with that person, you're basically creating a connection with that person on non-physical level. So sort of on your auric level, on your spiritual level, and on your karmic level. So this is why we're coming eventually to the point about karma and revenge, because it creates an ongoing cycle that keeps going on and on and on and on and on into the future. So it's worth bearing that in mind. So every time you get into a relationship or every time you meet new people, just bear that in mind, that you are creating a connection with somebody, and that can quite often have not just effects in this lifetime, but your future. So again, it's about getting the perspective and looking at things as a whole rather than in individual elements. So thinking about revenge, I was thinking about this a while ago, and you quite often have people that have been treated badly, for example, have been cheated on, and they hold that pain and they hold that hatred, and they hold in their bodies and their souls this feeling of, right, I'm going to get back at them one day, I'm going to get them. And we'll probably know somebody who has felt this and has sort of held a grudge, forever. And the important thing to remember with that is that, to start with, it only hurts themselves. The other person has gone on and is getting on with their life. So holding on to that sort of sensation of hatred and revenge and bitterness only hurts the person that is holding on to them. So that's an important thing to remember. Now, I'm going to just give you an example of sort of a bigger picture of how revenge can create massive long-term karmic neck grip, for want of a better word, and it can go on for generations and generations and generations, or it can go on for thousands of years. So if you're looking back historically, and again, quite often religious issues come into play here, you can think of several countries where the eye for an eye mentality has created ongoing long-term problems. It's this idea of retribution and revenge. You know, sort of, you kill one of my people, we kill one of yours as retribution, and then it goes on and on and on. So what they're doing is they're actually creating a cycle, perpetual cycle, because nobody is going to sort of say, you know what, this stops here. You know, we can't keep doing this. It's a classic kind of film theme when you've got sort of, you know, talking about Italian mafia, you know, you've got two sides, or very common in sort of films where, you know, they gangs, you know, they kill one of them, and you can just see how this cycle will just perpetuate because there's just no way to end it. But I don't know if you watch NCIS, classic TV program. It's an absolutely perfect example of why revenge doesn't work, and an easy way to get hold of it. So you have an agent called Jethro Gibbs, and basically what happens is a criminal causes the death of his wife and child. So in revenge, Gibbs goes out, tracks down this perpetrator and shoots him. And nobody knows anything about this because obviously he's a professional sniper. So years and years and years go by, and eventually, just for a sheer fluke, the daughter of the criminal who Gibbs shot discovers what's happened and then comes over to America and targets Gibbs's friends and his father. So this is a very interesting kind of example because it just absolutely shows on a very kind of close level how revenge can just keep going on through generations. You know, somebody has to sort of stop it, you know, it has to stop somewhere. So, you know, you get this conflict going on. So I think it's really important to try and learn about forgiveness and understanding. It's not easy. Obviously, murder is a very difficult subject. I mean, this is an ideal fictional example that I've just given you here. But if you take it down to your everyday life, if somebody's done you wrong or has offended you or has upset you, or if there's a rift in the family or anything like that, that you can think, yeah, you know what, this can keep going on forever and ever and ever. This can keep going on as a cycle. It's important to know how to stop it. And this eye for an eye mentality is probably one of the most harmful mindsets we have as human beings, because what we need to understand is that we are all the same. We all come from the same place and we are all going to go to the same place. We're all here on our own individual journey. We are all spiritual people having a physical experience in the reality that we see around us now. So every single person on the planet is your brother and your sister. So if you're hurting one of them, you are hurting yourself. And there is no way around that. That's just how it is, because we are all one, we are all the same. So the most important thing you can do for yourself then and for humanity is to forgive, move on, and stop that cycle evolving. So if you know anyone, or you know anyone in your life where you can see this cycle perpetuating, then you know you can step in and just say, look, you know, you're creating more negativity down the line. You know, forgiveness is very healing and very liberating. Now, I'm not saying about serious crimes here, you know, we're talking about things on a more personal level, and people often think, well, forgiving is forgetting. Well, it's not, you know, but like I said at the beginning, every single experience that you have, even negative ones, there is a lesson in there. There is something that you've learned. And the most powerful thing you can do if you have a really negative situation or a negative life experience is to really just detach from it, sit down and think, what was the lesson there? What was I needing to learn? What have I learned? And to kind of let go and move on, because holding on to stuff only hurts yourself. So that's basically all I've got to say about karma. If you've got any questions, that would be great. Any thoughts? It's quite interesting when you start looking around at situations and you can kind of see where this cycle's going. But the main thing to understand is that karma is not about punishment or reward. You won't get turned into a slug next lifetime because you're, having an affair with your sister's husband or something like that. I think there's a lot of fear and a lot of guilt being created around karma and people's actions. So scrap that. Okay, so thank you for listening.
Oh no, thank you. Has anybody got any questions for Deborah?
I actually have a question, if I can ask. I was wondering, do we all have a personal spiritual guide, or do we have like kind of the same spiritual guide? Like
everybody, yeah. So everybody, can I, Debs, can I come on to like gallery?
Oh yes, of course, of course. Let me
right?
just take you off the spotlight. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's me. There you go. Right. Yes. So yes, everybody has their own spirit guide. You usually, well, you can have quite a lot. There's basically one that you will have from conception that will be with you until you pass over into spirit again in this lifetime. You also have other guides that are specialists, if you like, in their fields, and they will come in and help you at specific times of your life with specific things. But yeah, everybody's got different ones. But also remember that you have a soul group of which you're part of. And when you incarnate, you tend to incarnate mostly with the same people in your soul group. So, for example, your mum and dad in this lifetime could have been your siblings in the last life, and in your following life, there might be an uncle and aunt, there might be your daughter and your son. And then, so sexes change, relationships change. It's just, fantastic. But having said that, you also have other soul groups, and you will incarnate with them as well. It's just, it's massive. So, but yeah, you do have your own very your main guide will be the guide that has been with you since conception and will see you through to the other side. Yeah.
Thank you. Jennifer, did you have a question? Sorry, Jennifer, you just need to unmute.
Go on. No, I don't specifically. I think you do. I think David does.
Oh, David, hi. What have you got a question for Deborah?
Is it possible to to intuitively know when you are being guided, or when you are following the right path, or is nothing preordained like that?
No, I mean you've agreed to have certain experiences and certain, like, I need to learn this year, this lifetime. But yeah, you definitely do. You tend to find that if you're on the right track, if you're on the right path, everything just flows, everything falls into place. If you find that you're banging your head against a brick wall, for example, a friend of mine, she was absolutely determined to work for a particular company, and she did absolutely everything she could. She had all the qualifications, she had exactly what they wanted to pay, but she went to about 10, 15 interviews, and she said, I don't know why I can't get a job with these people, I can't get in. And it's just like, you know what? You're not supposed to work for them. It's not, people, there's a difference between being persistent and the universe going, whoa, wrong path, back up, it's not right. And it's just really by going into that stillness and just spending time alone with yourself and just, being yourself, that is when you will get the intuition and you'll listen to your gut feeling. It's really difficult if you want something, like if you want a particular path, a different route. But yeah, you if everything flows and things come to you, that is a really good way of finding out if that's, you're being guided, definitely.
Thank you.
Deborah, do you not find you get your greatest lessons when you're going through your hardest times?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
respects.
Yeah, I mean, they say as well that, you know, the people in your life that give you the hardest times are the people that love you most in spirit. You tend to have the hardest experiences with the closest people in your soul group, because on a very deep level you trust them absolutely. You know, they are part of you. So they are the ones that will incarnate and show you the really, really, really rough times. But yeah, it's the trick with finding out what if you imagine every single relationship you're in, whether it's friend, person, lover, whatever, you have something to teach them and they have something to teach you. It's a two-way exchange. And however awful that situation is, at some point, if you can kind of just, you know, whether it takes you 5 years, you might get it that month, or you might take you 10 years, you can step back from it, get some perspective, and go through it and just say, what was that about? Or again, you know, just be on your own, tune in, ask your spirit, what was that about? What did I learn? And I mean, I had a really bad relationship, and I was like, oh my God, you know, what the hell was that about? And eventually it took me about 5 years, and it was very interesting because I recognized that I'd had a past life that was exactly the opposite. We're in exactly different situations, and it was purely a repayment, a karmic repayment. I had to be there for that person in that horrendous relationship because it was literally, they'd been there for me 300 years ago in a very similar setup. And that was like, oh my God, wow. Yeah, wow. And that actually helped because it helped just clear a load of stuff, and I could let a load of stuff go because I'm like, you know what, that's fine. Tick. Paid that, you know, sorted that debt out, done, absolutely fine. So yeah, that, and the hardest ones there are usually like the biggest things that you've got to do. So yeah.
And do we kind of know when our time is up on the earth plane? My best friend has just gone recently, and I found that really difficult, but I'm getting my head around it by thinking it was her time to go. She wanted to go at this time.
There's two ways of that. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, because it's all, whenever you go, it's your time to go. And I kind of worked out that it's quite often when you've come here to do a certain thing and you've done it, you go. Doesn't matter how old you are. I know several people who've died quite young and very young, and you sort of think, you know, what, why? But I've worked out exactly why they have gone, what lesson they've had each time, and then they've gone. It might not seem that, you know, sort of at the 16-year-old, you might think, well, what have they done? But actually, when you look at the person, the life, the effect they've had on the people around them, you can absolutely see what their role was, why they were here, what lesson they were here to give, and then gone. The other thing is quite often, particularly in sort of things like accidents, traumatic deaths like that weren't expected, it's a bit of a shock. So not all, it's kind of like you can kind of see afterwards that yes, they've done what they needed to do, but quite often they weren't expecting to go then. It can still be a shock to them because they might not quite have finished. But if you're looking at it from a bigger picture, their role was to come here and do that and that. Something happened that was outside of their control. So they might sort of go back to spirit and say, oh, you know what, I only managed to do 2 of the 5 things I wanted to do in that lifetime, and this happened and it was unexpected, damn it. And it was like, you know, it was fine. You know, you will come back next time and you can put those 3 things that you failed to do this time around. So that there's you know, 2 different variations of that, definitely.
Yeah. Has anybody got anything else they'd like to ask Deborah? No?
Could I just ask a question about your past life regressions? Do you do it like the Reiki, where you feel it and it comes through, or is it a different modality of?
Yeah, basically I use meditation and relaxation and creative visualization. And then I talk you through, we enter a doorway into the past life, and then I talk you through that. Quite often, I mean, I've been doing some courses to a lot of courses to sort of connect with spirits. So quite often I can kind of see where they're at, and I can get information and lessons as well as the person's going through this process, which is great because you kind of know where to direct them. But yeah, it's very much that sort of a journey. Yeah. So it's very interactive. You know, I'm asking them questions, moving them through the lifetime. Yeah, and getting all the feedback.
And are your clients mainly just curious, or is there a specific reason that they come to you?
Bit of both, really. Yeah, a lot of people just sort of want to have a go and just find out whether they, you know, who they were, where they were. But there's always something relevant that comes out of that. But a lot of people would sort of do want to go in to look for specific things. You know, even if people have got fears and phobias that they can't relate to this current lifetime, they'll sort of say, well, I have no idea where that's come from. I need to find out, it might be a past life thing. And sure enough, you know, something will come up. So yeah, real mixture. Yeah.
Fascinating.
And it's very healing. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, I've got a link on there, but I did a book. It's
Yes.
that one there. And it's basically past lives, present healing, and it's 11 people's stories about how they've gone through regression, past life regression, remembered these, and the healing that they've got from it, both emotional and physical. And there's some really powerful stories in there. So it's just incredible, you know, what can be achieved by kind of looking back, getting the information. Yeah, powerful
And
stuff.
would they come for one session, or would they come for a few sessions, or does it just depend?
It really depends. I mean, I tend to, the one-to-one sessions I do tend to be, if it's physical one-to-one, it's 2 hours, and we will aim to look at 3 past lives in that session, because you need to have more than one, because you're looking for connections, you're looking for patterns, you're looking for accumulated issues that can kind of be realised and dealt with. It sounds mad, but although people are quite relaxed, it's actually quite an exhausting process. So most people, by the time they've done 2, I'll say, do you want to go again and have a look? Oh no, no. Great. But yeah, it's just 2 or 3. You usually get a very good idea of the patterns. But having said that, even if you come with a very specific idea in mind of what you want to find out, your subconscious will throw up what you need to know right now. So it's a bit like a lucky dip. You know, you'll get what you get, but there's never anything irrelevant. It's always something that you can kind of go, yeah, you know what, that makes sense. I understand ABC now. So yeah.
So can you do that by distance, or do you have to have the client with you?
No, I mean, I've been doing workshops on Zoom. It tend to be group workshops that I do on Zoom. The next one's on November the 14th.
Yeah, I was just going to say, would you go through what you've got coming up? I know they're in the chat here, but if you can say what you've got coming up for anybody, that would be lovely.
Yeah, the last 2 workshops of this year, I've got the past life regression workshop on November this 14th, isn't it? Saturday. And that's an hour and a half. And what we do with that is we have really nice guided meditation relaxation and look at some time zones, just so you're getting little snippets of information, little pictures, just to get you relaxed and used to the process. Then we have a chat about that, and then we do a longer regression where we actually go into a full-blown past life guided regression. And I guide people through the various stages. Obviously, when you're doing it in a group, you're not feeding back the same way as you would on a one-to-one. So it's just a case of, if something I say, like if I say to you, go to where you get your food, and you're in the Irish potato famine and you haven't got any food, you just ignore that and go on to the next stage, and that has happened. So it's very much more you kind of I guide you through various things, but if things aren't relevant to you, then you just kind of just pass and just keep moving forward. So that is kind of a good introduction to it, just to get a feel for the process. And the next one I've got is on December the 2nd or 3rd. Oh, I can't remember now. And that's a dowsing for your past life. So if anybody's used to working with your pendulum crystal,
I use pendulums a lot.
There you go. You can, you know, if anybody's got anything like this, it's basically finding out past life information through using the pendulum. If you don't have a pendulum, you can literally just use a plain ring on a piece of cotton thread. You know, you don't have to have a posh pendulum. But again, that's quite it's quite a fun way of doing it, because if anybody's not sure about meditation or not sure whether they can relax enough, it's just a really fun way to get some answers out, find out your past lives. You can find out where you lived, when you lived, what your family situation was like, you know, what your job was, all of this. And it's all obviously yes or no answers. So you have to be quite clever with the questions that you're asking to get, you know, the thing. And I sort of did that years ago. I found a really, really good past life. I was just sort of working in a tourist attraction when I lived in Devon, and I was on car park duty, and it was like boring because I was just in this sort of wooden shed and I'd forgotten the book. So I thought, oh no, what am I going to do? And I thought, I know, I have dowels from my past lives. So all I had was a ring and like a really long hair, and seriously, that works. And I just ended up discovering that I was married, and my sister was jealous. She was in love with my husband, so she poisoned me, married my husband. It lasted about a year. She realised that that marriage wasn't all it was cracked up to be. So being very disappointed, she then killed him. But she actually messed up because I can't remember how she killed him, but she got arrested for it, and she got executed for it. She was hung for his murder. But they never discovered that she'd murdered me. And it was really interesting. Sort of, you go through, you know, how did I die? You know, accident, you know, natural causes, no poison. Oh, right, okay. How did I get poisoned? Was it something I ate? No. Something I drank? Yes. Oh, okay, right. And then you have to work down what it was. And I think it was belladonna, and this took hours, but it's brilliant. And then I found out, I said, okay, well, do I know this, my sister in that past life? Do I know her now? Who is she now? Is she in my life? Yes, she turned out to be my best friend at school. So then you sort of think, oh, okay, so there's the karma. And we were very, very close. We used to stand up for each other a lot, you know, at school. So that was obviously, again, like a karmic balancing, like we were saying before. So that's just really interesting. So if anybody's not really sure about the whole meditation aspect of it, then yeah, come along and have a go at that. And that's an hour and a half. We just have a bit of fun with that. So yeah. But all the details of the workshops are on the website. But the best place to have a look is the Facebook page. So I've put the link up in there. And I'm shortly going to be doing some more dates for the new year. So maybe on having at least one workshop of each month. So there you go.
And Deborah's got a website, Deborah Monshin, MONSHIN.com, www. For anybody who needs to.
Oh yeah, the link. Yeah, the links are right at the top, Joe. Right, sort of like I put them up first. Ignore the Country House Reader one. That was a link that I did for the dowsing workshop. It's just like a picture of Victorian hierarchy in the household we were discussing, and I accidentally copied and pasted that one in. But yeah, the website's at the top there, and the Facebook page, and then the link to the book. So yeah.
Oh, have you all enjoyed it this evening?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. That's awesome.
You know, it's fascinating. Have you enjoyed it, Alexandra?
Definitely, I've definitely enjoyed it. I was actually wondering, because we also do something similar at home, like with the ring on a thread. We do this for like pregnant women, and we try to do this and see if we can guess the gender of the babies. So if it goes in a round circle, then it's a girl, and then if it goes like in an oval shape, it's supposed to be a boy.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting kind of comparison.
Yeah, it's brilliant. My partner was saying he used to breed like terriers, and he said they'd always do that to find the sex of, you know, the babies or puppies. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's good.
Well, I actually use I don't know if you do the same, Jennifer, but when I do Reiki, I always use my pendulum to see where I need, and quite often it sort of what I sense is where I need to be by what the dowser says as well, you know, quite often. So it's fascinating, all of this. And I think it's going back to what we were born with, isn't it? The innateness of where we were, and we've lost sight of that now in the bigger world, sadly.
Yeah, definitely.
But we'll hopefully, you know, the more we get out about this, the more the better, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all good, all clear. If you can kind of clear as much stuff out of your life, then, you know, it just makes you kind of lift up. You know, you end up becoming lighter.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's great.
Oh, that's really interesting. Thank you ever so much. So I'll be recording this. If anybody's interested in Deborah's workshops, I will put the links on the Keeping Connected page, and also I'll be videoing sorry, I'll be recording this and putting it out there. Next week we've got Sheila Stanford. She's doing a session on the Ronnie Gardner method at 11 o'clock next week. So I'll put some links up to that for anybody who's interested.
Okay.
So thank you all for being here.
Thanks very much.
And a big thank you to you, Deborah, because yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Brilliant.
And where's my little clap sign? So and Petra and Joe, I hope you've enjoyed it too. And Sharon. She has.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Amazing, Debs. Thank you. You've got
Right.
great-
Good evening. Well, good evening. What am I saying that for? Have a good evening, I meant to say.
Brilliant. Thanks a
All
lot.
right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.